What if I told you that 15 simple plants you install just once, could completely transform the way your home looks, feels, and even how it smells for the rest of your life? No repainting, no expensive renovations, no yearly replanting. Just roots that come back bigger and more beautiful every single spring. Today, we're walking through 15 of the most breathtaking perennials on Earth, flowers with royal histories, ancient medicinal secrets, and jaw-dropping curb appeal. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which ones belong in your yard, how to grow them, and why gardeners have been obsessed with them for centuries. Let's get into it. Before we dive in, let's talk about why perennials specifically are the secret weapon of beautiful homes. Unlike annuals, which live for a single season and need to be replanted every year, perennials are the plant world's long-term investment. You plant them once, and they return year after year, often growing fuller, denser, and more spectacular with time. That means less money spent at the garden center, less time on your knees in the dirt, and more time actually enjoying your home. But perennials aren't just practical. Many of the plants on this list have been treasured for thousands of years, grown in the gardens of emperors, painted by Renaissance artists, used in ancient medicine, and passed down through generations as family heirlooms. So this isn't just a gardening list. It's a walk through history, botany, and design, one flower at a time. Let's start with a plant so beloved. It's been called the king of flowers for over 1,000 years. 1. Peony. The peony has one of the richest histories of any flower in the world. Native to Asia, it was cultivated in Chinese imperial gardens as early as the 7th century, where it earned the nickname King of Flowers, a title once reserved only for royalty. In Chinese culture, the peony symbolizes honor, wealth, and romance, and it remains one of the most requested flowers for weddings today. What makes the peony so visually stunning is its sheer size. A single bloom can reach the size of a dinner plate, layered with dozens of delicate, ruffled petals in shades of blush pink, deep crimson, buttery yellow, and pure white. When peonies bloom in late spring, they don't just decorate a garden, they dominate it. Beyond beauty, peonies have a practical advantage. They're incredibly long-lived. A well-established peony plant can live for over 50 years, often outlasting the gardener who planted it. Many families pass peony roots down through generations, transplanting them from one home to the next. Growing guidance. Peonies thrive in full sun, at least 6 hours a day, and prefer well-drained, slightly alkaline soil. They're remarkably cold-hardy, thriving in USDA zones 3 through 8, which makes them a favorite in colder climates where fewer flowers can survive winter. Plant the root crown no more than 2 inches below the soil surface. Planting too deep is the #1 reason peonies fail to bloom. Once established, they need very little maintenance beyond a spring feeding and support stakes for the heaviest blooms. If you want one plant that instantly signals elegant, established garden, it's the peony. 2. Hosta. If peonies are the showstoppers of the sunny garden, hostas are the quiet royalty of the shade. Hostas originated in East Asia, China, Japan, and Korea, where they were cultivated for centuries before making their way to European and American gardens in the 1800s. Japanese gardeners in particular prized hostas not for flowers, but for their leaves, considering the shape, texture, and color patterns of hosta foliage to be a living art form. And that's the secret to why hostas remain so popular today. They solve one of the hardest problems in home landscaping. What do you plant in the shady, awkward corners where nothing else thrives? Hostas answer that question beautifully, with leaves ranging from deep blue-green to golden yellow to crisp white-edged variegation, some growing as small as a dinner plate and others sprawling several feet wide. In midsummer, hostas send up tall flower spikes with delicate lavender or white blooms that attract hummingbirds, a lovely bonus on top of their foliage appeal. Growing guidance. Hostas prefer partial to full shade and rich, moist, well-drained soil. They're hardy in zones 3 through 9, making them one of the most adaptable perennials on this list. The biggest challenge with hostas is deer and slug damage, so if either is common in your area, consider planting deer-resistant varieties or using natural deterrents. For homeowners with shaded yards who assume nothing beautiful grows here, hostas are the proof otherwise. 3. Daylily. The daylily gets its name from a simple but poetic fact. Each individual bloom lasts only one day. But don't let that fool you. A single daylily plant produces dozens, sometimes hundreds of buds across a sin. Blooming season, creating a continuous wave of color from early summer into fall. Daylilies have been cultivated in China for over 2,000 years, where they were valued not just ornamentally but medicinally. The buds were used in traditional cooking and herbal preparations. When daylilies reached Europe and later America, plant breeders became obsessed, eventually creating over 80,000 registered cultivars in colors ranging from soft pastel yellow to deep burgundy, near black, and multi-tone blends. What makes daylilies a favorite for home landscaping is their sheer resilience. They tolerate poor soil, drought, extreme heat, and neglect better than almost any other flowering perennial, earning them the nickname, the perfect perennial among landscapers. Growing guidance. Daylilies thrive in full sun to partial shade and adapt to nearly any soil type, though they perform best in well-drained conditions. They're hardy in zones 3 through 9. Established clumps benefit from division every 3 to 5 years, which also gives you free new plants to expand your garden or share with neighbors. If you want color that returns reliably no matter how busy your summer gets, daylilies rarely disappoint. 4. Coneflower. Few flowers carry as much cultural weight in North America as the coneflower, better known by its botanical name, Echinacea. Native to the prairies and open woodlands of the central United States, coneflowers were used for centuries by indigenous peoples, particularly Plains tribes, as a traditional remedy for wounds, infections, and immune support, a use that echoes into the modern herbal supplement industry today. Visually, coneflowers are unmistakable, daisy-like petals in shades of purple, pink, orange, and white surrounding a raised, spiky central cone that gives the plant its name, from the Greek word echinos, meaning hedgehog or sea urchin. Beyond their beauty, coneflowers are a magnet for pollinators. Bees and butterflies flock to the blooms all summer, and once the flowers fade, the seed heads provide food for goldfinches through fall and winter, making this a plant that supports an entire mini ecosystem in your yard. Growing guidance. Coneflowers need full sun and well-drained soil, and once established, they're remarkably drought-tolerant, a huge advantage for low-maintenance landscaping. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. Avoid overwatering, which is the most common cause of root rot in this otherwise tough plant. For a garden that looks alive with movement, bees, butterflies, birds, coneflowers are essential. 5. Black-eyed Susan. The black-eyed Susan is one of the most recognizable wildflowers in America, with golden yellow petals radiating around a dark chocolate-brown center. Its name comes from an Old English poem about a woman named Susan with dark eyes, and the flower has since become a symbol of encouragement and motivation in Victorian flower language, often given as a gift to uplift someone during hard times. Native to the central and eastern United States, black-eyed Susans have long grown wild in meadows and roadsides, but their vibrant color and easy nature made them a natural fit for home gardens. They're also the official state flower of Maryland, where they bloom every summer around the Preakness Stakes horse race. What makes black-eyed Susans a landscaping favorite is their sheer abundance. A single plant can produce dozens of blooms over an extended summer season, creating dramatic drifts of gold that photograph beautifully against green foliage. Growing guidance. Black-eyed Susans thrive in full sun and tolerate poor, dry soil with ease, making them ideal for beginner gardeners. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. They also self-seed readily, so if you want a naturalized wildflower meadow look, simply let the spent blooms drop seed in fall. 6. Russian sage. Despite its name, Russian sage isn't actually native to Russia, nor is it a true sage. It's a member of the mint family originally found across Central Asia, Afghanistan, and parts of the Himalayas. It earned its common name from early European botanists who encountered it through Russian trade routes in the 19th century. What makes Russian sage such a striking landscaping choice is its airy, silvery blue foliage combined with tall spikes of lavender-purple flowers that create a soft, cloud-like haze across the garden from midsummer through fall. It's often used to fill the in-between spaces in garden design, softening the harder lines of structural plants and tying color schemes together. Beyond beauty, Russian sage carries a light, herbal fragrance when brushed against, and its aromatic foliage naturally deters deer and rabbits, a major advantage for homeowners battling wildlife damage. Growing guidance. Russian sage demands full sun and excellent drainage. It actually performs best in poor, dry soil, making it one of the most drought-tolerant perennials available. Hardy in zones 4 through 9. Avoid rich, overly fertile soil which causes floppy, weak stems. 7. Catmint/Nepeta. Catmint or Nepeta is often mistaken for its more famous cousin, catnip. And while they're closely related, catmint is prized specifically for its ornamental value rather than its effect on cats. Native to the mountainous regions of Europe and Asia, catmint has been cultivated in cottage gardens for centuries, valued for its soft gray-green foliage and long-lasting spikes of lavender-blue flowers. What makes catmint an unsung hero of home landscaping is its incredibly long bloom time, often flowering continuously from late spring through the first frost, especially if lightly trimmed back midsummer. It's frequently used as a border plant, softly spilling over walkways and garden edges with a relaxed, romantic texture. Catmint is also a favorite among pollinator gardeners, drawing in bees in staggering numbers throughout the growing season. Growing guidance. Catmint prefers full sun to partial shade and thrives in average, well-drained soil. It's remarkably drought-tolerant once established and hardy in zones 3 through 8. A quick trim after the first flush of blooms often triggers a second, equally full round of flowering. 8. Astilbe. If your yard has a shady, damp corner that seems impossible to beautify, Astilbe may be the answer. Native to woodland areas of Asia and North America, Astilbe has been cultivated ornamentally since the Victorian era, when plant hunters brought Japanese varieties back to Europe, sparking a wave of hybridization that continues today. Astilbe's signature feature is its feathery, plume-like flower spikes, which rise above fern-like foliage in shades of vibrant pink, deep red, soft white, and lavender. The texture is unlike almost anything else in the perennial world, soft, airy, and almost fairy tale-like when planted in mass alongside hostas and ferns. Growing guidance. Astilbe needs partial to full shade and consistently moist, rich soil. It's one of the few perennials on this list that doesn't tolerate drought well. Hardy in zones 4 through 9. Mulching around the base helps retain the moisture Astilbe craves, especially during hot summer months. For homeowners looking to turn a damp, shaded problem area into a garden feature, Astilbe delivers texture and color where few other plants can. 9. Coral bells. Coral bells, botanically known as heuchera, are native to the woodlands and rocky slopes of North America, where indigenous communities historically used the plant's roots for medicinal purposes. Today, coral bells are prized almost entirely for their extraordinary foliage, ruffled, rounded leaves that come in an almost unbelievable range of colors, from deep purple-black to lime green, amber orange, and silvery rose. In late spring, coral bells send up delicate, airy stalks of tiny bell-shaped flowers in white, pink, or coral red. A subtle bonus on top of foliage that already does most of the visual work. What makes coral bells so valuable in home landscaping is their year-round presence. Unlike many perennials that die back completely in winter, coral bells often remain semi-evergreen, holding their colorful foliage through much of the cold season in milder climates. Growing guidance. Coral bells prefer partial shade, though many modern varieties tolerate more sun. They need well-drained soil and are hardy in zones 4 through 9. Avoid planting too deep. The crown should sit at soil level to prevent rot. 10. Shasta daisy. The Shasta daisy was actually bred, not discovered, created in the late 1800s by the famous American horticulturist Luther Burbank, who crossed several daisy species to produce a larger, more refined bloom. He named it after Mount Shasta in California, whose snowy peak reminded him of the flower's brilliant white petals. Shasta daisies bring a crisp, classic charm to any garden, pure white petals surrounding a sunny yellow center, blooming abundantly from early summer through fall. There's a timeless simplicity to the Shasta daisy that makes it a favorite in cottage style and cutting gardens alike. Growing guidance. Shasta daisies need full sun and well-drained soil and are hardy in zones 5 through 9. They benefit from division every 2 to 3 years to maintain vigorous blooming and prevent the center of the clump from dying out. If you want a plant that reads as instantly cheerful and classic, the Shasta daisy rarely fails. 11. Salvia. Salvia, part of the enormous sage family, has a botanical history stretching back to ancient Rome, where the name derives from the Latin word salvare, to heal, reflecting the plant's long medicinal reputation across cultures. Ornamental salvia varieties, however, have become garden staples for an entirely different reason. Their vivid, upright flower spikes in electric blue, deep purple, and fiery red. Salvia's tubular flowers are especially beloved by hummingbirds, making it a top choice for gardeners who want to attract wildlife without sacrificing. Structure or color. The tall, architectural flower spikes also add valuable vertical interest to garden beds, contrasting beautifully against rounder, bushier plants. Growing guidance. Salvia thrives in full sun and well-drained soil, and most perennial varieties are hardy in zones 4 through 9, depending on the species. Deadheading spent blooms encourages continuous flowering well into fall. 12. Sedum. Sedum, often called stonecrop, is one of the most fascinating perennials on this list because of how it changes dramatically across the seasons. Native to rocky, dry regions across Europe and Asia, sedum evolved thick, succulent-like leaves to store water, an adaptation that makes it exceptionally drought-tolerant today. The most popular variety, Autumn Joy, starts the season with soft, jade-green rounded foliage, then produces broad, flat flower clusters that transform in color as summer turns to fall, starting pale pink, deepening into rosy red, and finally drying to a rich bronze that persists through much of winter, providing structure and interest even in the coldest months. Growing guidance. Sedum needs full sun and, above all, exceptional drainage. It's one of the few perennials that can suffer in soil that's too rich or moist. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. It's an ideal low-maintenance choice for rock gardens, slopes, or hot, dry areas where other plants struggle. 13. Lavender. Lavender's history stretches back over 2,500 years to ancient Egypt, Greece, and Rome, where it was used in perfumes, bathing rituals, and even mummification. Its name comes from the Latin word lavare, meaning to wash, a nod to its long association with cleanliness and purification. Beyond its unmistakable fragrance, lavender brings a soft, silvery green texture to the garden topped with spikes of purple-blue flowers that bloom throughout summer. It's a plant that engages nearly every sense, sight, smell, and even sound, as its blooms hum constantly with bee activity. Lavender also holds practical value beyond beauty. Its dried flowers are used in sachets, teas, and natural home fragrance, making it a functional as well as ornamental addition to any yard. Growing guidance. Lavender demands full sun and, critically, very well-drained, slightly alkaline soil. Wet roots are lavender's biggest enemy. Hardiness varies by variety, with English lavender tolerating zones 5 through 9. Avoid mulching directly against the base of the plant, which can trap moisture and cause rot. 14. Bearded iris. The bearded iris takes its name from the fuzzy, caterpillar-like beard found on its lower petals, a distinctive feature among the many iris species worldwide. The flower itself is named after Iris, the Greek goddess of the rainbow, a fitting tribute given the extraordinary color range bearded irises display, from deep velvety purple to sunset orange, crisp white, and near black burgundy. Irises have been cultivated for thousands of years, appearing in ancient Egyptian artwork and later becoming a beloved symbol in French heraldry, where the stylized iris, the fleur-de-lis, became a national emblem. In the garden, bearded irises create dramatic vertical structure, their tall flower stalks rising above sword-like foliage that remains attractive even after blooming ends. Growing guidance. Bearded irises need full sun and well-drained soil, with rhizomes planted shallowly, barely covered by soil, since burying them too deep is a common cause of failure to bloom. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. Divide clumps every 3 to 4 years to maintain healthy blooming. 15. Garden phlox. Rounding out our list is garden phlox, a native North American perennial that indigenous peoples and early colonial gardeners alike valued for its late summer color, arriving just as many other perennials begin to fade. Its name comes from the Greek word for flame, a reference to the vivid, saturated colors, hot pink, deep purple, crisp white, that phlox produces in dense, rounded flower clusters. One of garden phlox's greatest gifts is its fragrance, a sweet, slightly spicy scent that drifts across the garden on warm summer evenings, often drawing in butterflies and moths at dusk. Growing guidance. Garden phlox prefers full sun to light shade and rich, well-drained, consistently moist soil. Hardy in zones 4 through 8. Good air circulation is essential to prevent powdery mildew, a common issue in humid climates, so avoid overcrowding and water at the soil level rather than overhead. And there you have it, 15 perennials with the power to transform your home from ordinary to unforgettable, one root at a time. What's beautiful about perennials isn't just the color they bring to your yard, it's the patience they teach us. You plant them once, and they reward you for years, sometimes decades, asking for very little in return except sunlight, good soil, and a bit of care. If this video helped you plan your next garden project, do me a favor and hit subscribe. We release new plant and gardening videos every week, and I'd love to have you back for the next one. Until then, happy planting, and I'll see you in the next video.